Your check engine light comes on, you scan the vehicle, and the code P0121 appears. Throttle or pedal position sensor range or performance. Most people immediately think the throttle position sensor is bad and start looking for a replacement. That reaction is understandable, but in most cases, it is wrong. P0121 is not a replace the sensor code. It is a performance code. That means the engine computer is unhappy with how the throttle or pedal position signal behaves compared to what it expects. The signal may still be present, the sensor may still work, but the data does not make sense when compared to airflow, engine load, RPM, or accelerator input. To understand P0121, you need to understand how the throttle system works. Modern vehicles use either a throttle position sensor, an accelerator pedal position sensor, or both. In drive-by-wire systems, the pedal tells the computer what the driver wants, and the computer commands the throttle body to open accordingly. Multiple sensors are used for redundancy and safety. The computer constantly compares these signals to each other. When one signal falls outside the expected range, reacts too slowly, spikes, drops out, or does not correlate with other inputs, the computer sets P0121. That does not automatically mean the sensor has failed. One of the most common causes of P0121 is electrical instability. Low reference voltage, poor ground integrity, or wiring resistance can distort the signal. The sensor may be physically fine, but the computer receives incorrect information. Another very common cause is throttle body contamination. Carbon buildup around the throttle plate can restrict movement. When the throttle does not move as commanded, the sensor feedback no longer matches expectations. The computer sees a mismatch and sets a performance code. This is especially common after battery disconnects or throttle relearn issues. The throttle may physically move, but the learned position data is no longer accurate. Wiring issues are also high on the list. The throttle and pedal sensors operate with low voltage signals. Even small amounts of corrosion, moisture intrusion, loose pins, or chafed insulation can change the signal enough to trigger P0121. Heat and vibration make this worse over time. Now let's talk about how P0121 should actually be diagnosed. First, scan for related codes. If you see throttle actuator control codes, pedal correlation codes, or reference voltage faults, that is not a coincidence. These systems work together. P0121 rarely exists in isolation when there is a real electrical issue. Next, look at live data. This is critical. Monitor throttle position and pedal position data on your scan tool. Slowly press the accelerator and watch the values. The signal should increase smoothly without dropouts, spikes, or flat spots. Any irregular movement points to a real problem. Compare multiple sensors if available. Many systems use 2 throttle sensors or 2 pedal sensors. The values should track each other in a predictable pattern. If one sensor lags or jumps, the computer will flag a performance fault. After that, inspect the throttle body. Look for carbon buildup, sticky movement, or mechanical resistance. A dirty throttle can easily cause a range or performance code even when the sensor itself is fine. Cleaning the throttle body correctly often resolves P0121 without replacing any parts. Electrical testing comes next. Check reference voltage and ground at the sensor. Do not assume they are good. Measure them under load. A weak ground or unstable reference can shift the entire signal range and confuse the computer. Wiggle testing is very important here. With the engine running and live data displayed, gently move the wiring harness near the throttle body and pedal assembly. If the signal changes, you have found a wiring fault. Battery and charging system health also matters more than people realize. Low system voltage can affect sensor accuracy. Vehicles with weak batteries or unstable charging systems often produce throttle-related performance codes. Software and relearn procedures are another overlooked area. Some vehicles require a throttle relearn after battery replacement, throttle cleaning, or module updates. If the relearn is skipped, the throttle position data may not match learned values, triggering P0121. Now, when does the sensor actually fail? True sensor failure usually shows clear symptoms: dead spots in the signal, sudden dropouts, or values that jump erratically even with stable voltage and wiring. If testing confirms the signal itself is unreliable, then replacement makes sense. But replacing the sensor without testing is risky. Many throttle bodies integrate the sensor, making replacement expensive. If the root cause is wiring, power, ground, or contamination, the new part will not fix the issue. This is why P0121 is often misdiagnosed. People see throttle position and immediately replace components. The computer, however, is not complaining about existence. It is complaining about behavior. Intermittent P0121 codes are especially telling. If the code appears randomly after long drives, hot restarts, or rough roads, the issue is almost always wiring, voltage stability, or mechanical binding. Permanent sensor failures tend to be consistent and repeatable. Ignoring P0121 is also not a good idea. Throttle-related faults can trigger reduced power mode, poor drivability, delayed throttle response, or sudden loss of acceleration. The system is designed to protect itself when it sees unreliable input. So if P0121 shows up on your scan tool, slow down. Do not guess. Do not throw parts at the car. Follow the data. Verify the code. Inspect the throttle system. Review live data. Check power and ground. Inspect wiring. Clean and relearn the throttle. Only then should replacement be considered. When diagnosed correctly, P0121 is usually a straightforward fix. When guessed at, it becomes a cycle of wasted time and money. Always diagnose first, understand the system, and fix the root cause. Taking the time to test properly saves money and prevents unnecessary repairs. Before replacing parts, check our channel for more diagnostic tips and real-world fixes. Fix Car Codes helps you understand the problem before you spend your money.